All right, everyone, welcome back. We are ready for Emerald. Emerald is a a color we've seen kind of take off in a big way the past few expansions, with set 3 really bringing Ursula, Deceiver, and friends to the party, really making Emerald a mainstay in Lorcana, where it was kind of ignored for the first couple sets. So let's see how it fares in set 5, Shimmering Skies. We're starting off with Robin Hood, Timely Contestant, one of the first cards we saw, or one of the earlier previews we saw. 6/6 with ward, 4 lore. That's a big Robin Hood. It costs 1 less for each a damaged character. So, wait, for each 1 damage on opposing characters. I misread this card the entire time. You're seeing it live right now in chat, and I didn't realize it was for each 1 damage. Is it so for every damage on opposing characters? Is that how that one works? Because if so, this is a lot better than I thought it would be a second ago. I thought it was just for each damage character. I see when you read quickly and you don't see things all the times. It's for each damage on an opposing character. This card's a lot better than I thought it'd be. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna give this one 3.5. I was originally gonna give it a 2 for each point of damage. Wow. All right. I gotta reevaluate. I'll be back. See ya. Bye. Kidding. No, a lot better. Yeah, this is a lot better than I thought it'd be. I had to read it the first time. That's why we read the cards, people. TLDR, not so much here. Yeah, solid card. Huge. It's warded. And yeah, if you can consistently make this thing cost 3, which actually doesn't seem too unreasonable. I mean, I've along came Zeus some characters and they've survived. They have to be a pretty big character, like a Robin Hood, like an opposing Robin Hood. You Zeus it, you play this one again after you have some things, yeah, and then you kill it. And yeah, okay, solid card. Excited to actually play with this now. Mother Gothel, yeah, the things like that on your opposing side, any of the damage things, super awesome. And ward, okay, big guy. I'm gonna reevaluate my entire outlook on this format, this set, I should say, not format, but yeah, solid. Shenzi, Scars, Apprentice. Pass. It's fine, evasive, challenging a damaged character is not going to do much of anything. It's going to get a 1 or whatever. Not exciting. Most of the things are not exciting. This thing too, we talked about Nala in the Amber review. Cool that it exists. Cool stat line to experiment with to see if it does anything. I'm not expecting anything from it. It's getting the 1-star review. Zazu. This one's interesting. It's like weirdly the good stat line. Obviously, we wish it had 1 more strength for whatever reasons we're not going to talk about. But yeah, it's a fine stat. I mean, this is the same thing as like a beast tragic hero. Obviously, it might be a bit better with a card if it stays in play. But this one too, 5 health is a lot. Evasive is strong, and I've definitely played the Shift Pegasus for 5 and been happy that it was in play. I'm gonna give this one a 2. It's unlikely to see much play, but it's a cool card. This one here, the Ulf Mime. There are better cards to this. This one's getting a 1. Moving on. Next up we have Ed. Oh, I love Ed. Mufasa. That's what they do that to him, and he laughs his little rear off there. So when you play this character, deal 2 to chosen damaged character. I don't expect to see this see play. It's a cool card, but it's getting a 1 for being uninkable mostly. If this is inkable, I would be considering it. But I like the flavor text. He just a giggle man. Yeah, moving on. Let's spend the time on the cards we actually care about. This one, while being challenged, it gets +2 strength. Pass. If it was 2 lore, maybe, but not so much. By pass, I mean it got a 1. This one, when you play this character, you can pay 1 to give character +2. That's not bad. I'd give it a 2. It being a 1-cost character, I imagine all the 1-cost essentially kicker cards. Kicker is the mechanic from Magic, which basically gives you the ability to pay an additional cost to get an additional ability when you play a card. So that's why we call everything kicker. It's from the early 2000s, 2002, 2001, somewhere around there. But yes, this card's fine. Probably they're most set up to be played in Emerald Amethyst because of the ability to return them to your hand. It's fine. Giving a strength buff, while it's not a Merlin Crab, it can be played on turn 1 and then let you play a Snake on turn 2 if you had no turn 1 play. So, fine card. All right, Robin Hood. All right, so translation, because I'm excellent in Italian, right? It's Italian. Robin Hood, when you play this character, you gain a lore if your opponent has a damaged character. I think it's fine. It's a solid card. It's not thrilling. It's getting a 2.5. It's it really depends on how much Robin Hood we really need. If we really need more shifters, which there's a couple cards that shift for Robin Hood here in the set, but Yeah, it being a way to just gain lore for Emerald. There's no way to gain lore for Emerald immediately, I don't believe, in the game without having the ability to quest. There's no like item or action that gains lore for Emerald. Maybe there is. I think there's one that loses lore for each damage character, or I think you gain lore for each damage character. But this one being inkable really puts it above the rest. And I think there are some Shift Robin Hoods we'll get to. So Solid Guard, it'll be fine. Fauna is very small. Fauna is going to be passed on. The body isn't what it once was. I did play Maleficent in set 1, the 5-cost 3/6 Sapphire card. That was a fine card then, but now not so much. All right, Iago. Evasive 2/4. So it's kind of hard to kill. 2 strength, a little bit vulnerable, but doesn't let a fox or anything like that, which is cool. When it quests, you may pay 2 for the next action you play, 2 less. So you can curve this into Be Prepared. That's a curve you could do. It is inkable. There's not too many things that you'd want to be cheapening. It really, you have to look at cards that cost 7 to play to make this make sense, to get really the most amount of value out of it, except for making it cost less. When this character quests, give me 2. So like really, you're looking at cards that cost 2 specifically to be able to play them for free. But then again, wouldn't it just be better as like a Singer that costs 2? So it's, I don't know. It's a hard line for this one to fill. I'm giving it a 2. There's the potential for it to be playable, but I'm not really seeing much for this. I just can't. I can't get behind it right now. Banza. So it's a vanilla character, 2 cost 3/2, quest for 2. I think this one's fine. This is getting a 2.5, I think. Uninkable surely stinks, but like it's a reasonable body. It doesn't die to fox. That's a big thing for cheap lore characters. You'll probably still play Flynn most situations, but one of the best things about Flynn was that, and the reason we played it so much still, is that it was guaranteed to get 1 card out of the exchange when it was challenged regardless. This card is close to it with what gets played to challenge now. Flynn obviously making the discard. This one obviously just being a trade. So yeah, the potential is there for this one to be played. I'm not sure if it's not better than Flynn because it's uninkable, but it's comparable in some ways to that. Ed. All right, Ed. We love Ed. Damaged characters can't challenge this character. Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'm giving this one a 2. What's with all the uninkables in this set, this color? I mean, is it going back to its set 1 in 2 ways where we just made fun of it for its theme being uninkable? It's not great, but it's got, I mean, is it like really that much better than Hans in set 1, which is a 3 lore 3/3? So essentially you just get this somewhat relevant ability, but not most likely gonna matter ability, and make it, no. 1.5. I love Ed though. Scrop, Odious Mutineer. Okay. A little overcosted for its secondary effect. 2/1 evasive for 3 is similar to Archimedes and Minnie Mouse. Uninkable is really the kick in the teeth. I don't see this seeing much play, honestly. Getting a 2. I feel like they're all a little bit overcosted for what they could be. This one probably could cost 5, much like the most disappointing legendary for me from the set, which we'll get to. This one is just a little bit too pushed out cost-wise, and I feel like this should be inkable, or could be inkable and not be too much of an issue, power level-wise. But hey, well, who knows? I don't know what you do. I don't remember all of your text. I remember some of it, but then I saw there was more. Okay. So Prince Philip, 3/9. When for some reason all the Prince Philips are inkable though, not all of them, but some of them. When you play this character, you banish a dragon. So it kills Sisu, it kills Maleficent Dragon, kills other Sisus, I guess. That's all the only dragons get played right now, I think. Cool. I mean, I get it. It's highly thematic, and I love that. And it has the other ability when it challenges a damaged character, it readies itself. So it can challenge and then quest, because it doesn't have the restriction of not being able to quest afterwards. Super cool. The stat line is kind of incredible. It's 3/9. Huge bit of health there. And if there's ever any kind of dragon that gets played in maybe an Emerald Mirror match or something like that, where it's a non-Ruby matchup, this could be played. I think overall it's not going to be played. 2 stars is where I'm going to put it. It's a cool character to exist, but, not super thrilled. All right, next up we have Clarabelle. So it's a shift 5, 2 lore. At the end of each of your turns, you choose a character, and if they have more cards than you, you get to draw equal to that difference. I think it's cool. I think the other mirror rows are actually what are going to make this card playable. Giving it a 3. It's a very high cost inkable card, which is fine because you can then just ink it at any point. And even it for 7 is even it for 7 isn't unreasonable late game. If your opponent's at a significant advantage, you can just draw 5 cards with this. I'm actually going to move it up a little bit. I think this card could be pretty heavily played. 4.5 is about where it's going to be. I think it's good enough to be played. I don't know if this is going to be Emerald's identity, but in a deck that wants this type of effect or it's built around being able to utilize this type of card, it'll be very good. But again, I don't know exactly what Emerald deck it fits into yet, but it could, for sure. Diplomatic Queen, Anna. We went Legendary back-to-back. This is the most disappointing card in the set to me. Anna is one of the characters that people have been wanting to be good forever. It's a really cool character. It's the heroine from the second Frozen movie. She really kind of becomes the queen. This is her as the queen. The dress is awesome. I like the dress. I really wish it was either inkable or only cost 1 to use the effects. I feel like you could get away with that because I feel like it's not that much better of a Daisy Duck, which is the discard part, a Cricky, which is the second part, and a Ring the Bell, which is the third part. I get making it uninkable to have all options for all 3 of them, and this card still will probably be played, in all honesty. I actually think it's a fine card. I just think that, in general, this kind of card could have been pushed a little bit more. I'm giving it 3 stars because I think the thing people are not going to want to do is just play this on turn 3, which they should most of the time, just as a kind of Benjo where you play it to be a 2/3 for 2 lore. It's a fine card. Late game, this could be great. Making them discard or being able to kill something is super strong. I think it will be played, but I really wish it was a little bit better just to feel a little bit, to push it a little bit, you know. I know there is danger in making cards good intentionally, but I think for something like this, it'd be pretty cool. Moving right along. We have the Clumsy Guest. So 1 cost 1/2. When we play this character, you can pay 2 to banish an item, is what this one does. Kind of talking about the kicker cards, we're going to call them, as the ones prior. This one is a shift target for the Clarabelle we just saw, which make it even more playable, and a 1/2 that just able to use later in the game too, as well as just being an aggressive character if you want to fill out your curve. A solid character, 4 stars or 3 stars. Sorry, not having 2 lore makes it worse than Benjamin most of the time, but it'll be fine. Fine card. A lot of fine things here in this set. Not really too excited. All right. 2 cost 2/2. When you play this character, exert chosen damage character. 2.5 potential to be good, but not great. Depending on the situation we're in. There's not too many free ways to deal damage. I think we're going to see a lot of the set 2 Robin Hood. See a lot more play of the 1/3. That one's going to pick up in popularity, I believe, just as ways to turn on all these Emerald cards. And I think it's going to be pretty good, honestly. But yeah, that's fine. I like all the hyenas here. Moving to the more damaged character theme, +1 lore for each opposing damaged character. This could be a lot of lore. I doubt it'll be as significant as people think, but I can definitely see worlds where this thing quests for 4. And it being a shift line that you can complement the existing Hood shift line by being a 1/3 into like a shift for 1 cost into a 3 cost to get a 5 is pretty big, letting you grab your swords to take out a bunch of things or just shift and play we don't talk about Bruno or anything like that. Yeah, this one will see play. This one's pretty solid based off its stats alone, I think. I'm giving it 3.5 for that. The lore part, I don't know how much is going to come up. I think mostly the fact that it's a Robin Hood and it's a shift 3 and a 5 cost is really what's giving it this extra bit of bonus here for rating. But yeah, it definitely can win the game in certain situations. Your opponent may have to be careful how many characters with more than 2 toughness they deploy if they're fearful of a card like Tinkerbell or Grab Your Swords to then make this into a giant lore character, which, hey, I'd be happy to see. It'd be cool. Big fan. Love the art. It's fantastic. One of the better cards in the set, and this one's, I'm going to give this a 4. We're starting with this one. This one's the 4 of the set. These both are, actually. So set 1, there was the Genie. Genie was a 3/4 evasive that returned a character to their owner's hand. This is actually a 5 cost 1/3. Obviously, not having 2 lore sucks. The flexibility of this being a 1 cost or a 2 cost character is huge. The fact that this card exists makes me think that Beast Tragic Hero doesn't stand a chance of existing anymore, because this is the kind of card that punishes threats you have to have in play and then stay in play. Makes them even harder to utilize. And this card is just incredible at doing that. Just being able to bounce things is so strong. It's a full extra turn, really, in some situations. And I felt that from the other side. And when it works and it feels really good, it's like when Mother Knows Best is good, it is great. It is the best card possible. And this is an inkable Mother Knows Best is really what you have to think of it as. That has a body to it, which is even better. Incredible card. Yeah, this is, I think, one of the scariest cards they've made in the set, and one of the ones I'm least looking forward to playing against, in all honesty. Clarabelle, when you play this character, your opponent has more cards that you may draw a card. This one's going to be a solid 3. I think it's a Maleficent. It's going to be a Maleficent more often than not, more so than the Amber equivalent, which was the heal, the 1/4 that healed for 2 and drew a card. This one's going to be turned on more often than not. You can just play a bunch of 1s and then play this card with some of the cards we've seen that you can play for 1 but have kicker to kind of play later too. Lets you empty your hand a bit quicker, and the body is pretty reasonable. 2/3 that replaces itself is nice. Solid. Moving along to the other Mother Gothel, since it's out of order for whatever reason on the card set list, not the website. Yeah, this one's also getting that same kind of treatment. This was probably the best 2 Emerald cards in the set, if I would have to say. When you play this character, each opponent chooses one. They get to choose this instance, but you're kind of hoping that at that point they've been depleted of what they have to really remove and just kind of forced. The art's fantastic. It is very evocative, which is an interesting direction to take. But hey, it's a good picture. Yeah. But this is a super solid card. Its stat line is incredible. Its cost is fine. This is very comparable, as I said, to Genie. Instead of having evasive, it has +2 or +1/+2 in stats. They get to make the choice, but having the shift option is huge. There are other Mother Gothels in the game. The Ruby one is an option if you play this in a Ruby Emerald deck, which would be cool to see. I wouldn't mind seeing a Ruby Emerald deck be a thing, but super solid. Yeah, these effects that gain you so much incredible tempo, really scary. Let's keep on keeping on. Scar. Is this the first Emerald Scar? I think it is. Maybe wrong. One of your characters challenges a damage character, you may draw a card. I'm moving these to the 2. All the damage things are kind of like not thrilling. 4/2 with Ward is interesting stat line. I don't quite get it, but hey, it's a cool card. Maybe it it lets you. It just is weird. It's a weird card. I don't think it's gonna see much play. It's very vulnerable itself. So I don't know. Brainstorm, and by that I mean Hypnotic Deduction. Magic the Gathering has a card that costs 1 that does this. It's very iconic. It's one of the best cards in the older formats, mainly because the ability to shuffle your deck is very prevalent. In this game, we have very few ways to shuffle your deck or make use of this type of effect. There are some cards which we can get to and can use, which will make this card really good. The set 2 Mulan that lets you quest. When you quest with it, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a song, you play it for free. Maybe some Amber Emerald kind of songs deck that you play this card to set that up a bit. The Robin Hood, which we'll get to in Ruby, can use this card to set up a bit, but again, you have to be playing Ruby Emerald. I think people are going to get familiar with what it means to brainstorm lock yourself when you play this card, even though there's not really much else to do with it, like in Magic, where you essentially draw 3 cards, put 2 back, and then realize you're drawing 2 cards that won't get you out of the situation you're currently in anyway the next 2 turns, and then the game's over. It's a fine card. I'm going to give it a solid 2.5. Paying 2 to do nothing has really proven to be not incredible in this game. This isn't card advantage. This is net neutral on cards. You're spending 1 card to get 3 and then put 2 back. So you're really spending 1 and 2 to get 3. So you're not gaining cards. The selection could be worth it if there's ever prevalent ways to shuffle your deck. This card will see a lot more play. I would hope that we don't see that, to be honest. There's already a couple in this set, which I'm a little bit... The Minnie Mouse that puts a character on top is already kind of standing out to me in that sense, but that's a lot of ink to do that kind of effect. But we'll see. It's an interesting card. It could leave a lot of cool combos. We'll see how it goes. All right. Shenzi, Head Hyena. Character gets +1 strength for each other hyena in play, so it protects itself a little bit from some of Ruby removal. Whenever one of your hyena characters challenges a damaged character, gain 2 lore. All right. I'm going to stop with this challenging a damage thing, because I don't know the last time I got to challenge something and was happy about it in this game, except with a Tinkerbell, and I was losing. Night Howler Rage. It is a strict upgrade from the set 1, The Beast is Mine, I think, the Ruby card, which had chosen character gains reckless till the next turn, action 3 cost inkable. This one just says add draw card. It'll see play unlimited. It may see Fringe play constructed. I doubt it, but I don't need to spend time on that card there. You're welcome. I really wish this card was cooler, because it's like one of my favorite songs. I think a lot of people's favorite songs is You're Welcome. Shuffle chosen character item, location, character item or location into their deck. They draw 2 cards. So it is mill, kind of. Like you're milling them 1 card because they're really putting 1 card back in, and then they're drawing 2. So they're going down 1 card in their deck. So it's not really great for mill. It is good as a general way for Emerald to not care what your opponent's doing and to get rid of it. So that's an interesting part of the game. And kind of we've seen sometimes giving your opponent cards in hand isn't nearly as important as having certain cards in play. So this will see play. I think it's getting a solid 3. I'm not certain how to best use it, but it is a powerful effect. It's a song that can kill everything. It can be used with, some of the cards that the Carabel and the other card we'll get to. That's an action to make them have more cards, so that you can then draw cards off of them drawing cards. But I'm not certain again how this is going to fit too well. It's just a very interesting card for them to have exist in the game, and it be a song specifically. So we'll see. But it doesn't really mill very well, unfortunately. The card I was kind of talking about, pairing with potentially you have, or remember who you are. You draw cards equal to the number of cards they have, or until you have the same amount. So you can essentially sing that card, then play this on the same turn maybe, and then you get the cards back too. So interesting way to interact with it, similar to the Carabel, which was played, which we talked about already. Kind of catching up with the card count. Fringe playable. This one's fine. This one I think could see a bit of a home in a hyper aggressive deck, so that's why it's getting a 3. It's not going to be a standout all-star, and it can be blank. Especially drawing multiple copies of these can be pretty detrimental, since the first one might not do anything until you get that out of your hand. But yeah, it's a fine card. This was a card that existed in Hearthstone called Divine Favor. It was eventually removed from the core set because it was too omnipresent in the aggressive decks. And I kind of expect to see it similarly in some decks now, having a bunch of hyper aggressive characters and this being your curb topper. Very strong in the right deck specifically. But yeah, solid card. Prince John's Mirror, probably my least favorite card in the set, or one of them. And not because it's too good. It's not because it's too good. I'm going to start with that. It's not a card that is too good of a card to print. It's because the experience of playing against it is really poor, no matter how you slice it. It's either going to do nothing and give a set that you're playing this card, or you're going to play it. It's going to be the best possible thing you could do on that turn, and your opponent's going to feel helpless. And they're likely to have no cards in the hand, similar to how Bucky felt in a lot of situations. Giving this card a 3.5 for situational value. It's not quite a 4 in my mind. This is a card I wish didn't exist, similar to how I didn't like how Bucky existed. I didn't think Bucky was too strong. I just didn't like the play patterns of it. And this means that some people just can't play their game. Like if they didn't play a card that costs 1 or a card that costs 2 and they went second, they just have to discard 5 cards or something like that. And that's not a fun experience for anyone. So I just wish it didn't exist. I'd be interested to see why it was made as it was. I'm, again, not saying this is going to see a ton of play, and it might just be, as we said, with taking turns off to fully do nothing, too slow to even play. This might be something that completely misses and doesn't even do anything, not even good enough to play. But when it does work, it is so demoralizing, I think, that it's kind of just a card I don't really like. But yeah, it'll see some play or no play. Don't know. Banish this item. Your characters gain ward. So if you really want to protect your stuff, you can play this out, and then at a certain point, spend 2 to do it. Doesn't protect, of course, from Be Prepared or anything like that. Maybe, but I'm just giving this a 2. Not really too thrilled with it. It's whatever. Emerald Chroma blah, blah, blah. During your opponent's turns, whenever one of your characters is banished, return chosen character to that player's hand. So the best way to look at this is it's a way to defend a wide board of yours. When they challenge one character, you can then bounce one of your other exerted characters so they can't challenge it. So it really works well in situations where you have multiple characters exerted in that sense. But yeah, it's not exciting it being uninkable. If this is inkable, I might see it pass. This is more of a 2.5 rating there. It's situationally okay. Again, you really need 2 characters to play for it to do anything. Yes, you can bounce your opponent's things back to their hand, but that's usually a downside than a plus side. So I wouldn't see it in that sense. I'm more looking at it as ways to protect my own things. So we'll see. Like, I really wouldn't want to bounce someone's Maui after they just use their Maui to kill my thing. That's what I'm getting at. Sherwood's Forest, a lot of text. So it's a 2 cost, 2 to move, 7 lore, or 7 willpower, no lore. Your Robin Hood characters may move for free. All characters that are here gain ward, and you can pay 1 and tap and exert it to deal 2 to a damaged character. Pretty strong. I'm honestly going to give this one 3.5. I think it is very strong. I think that this could make Robin Hood deck exist, kind of going back to the 2 cost uninkable Robin Hood that's a 1/3 that pings for 1. This could be kind of where that gets a home. You know, protecting that card from other removal is pretty key, and just moving it here for free, and then using that along with anything else that you can move here to then shoot down something huge always, and they may not be able to use targeted removal to remove them, could be a bit of a problem. It's one of the cards I'm pretty excited to try out and have built a couple decks around in my head, less so on the deck builders because they're not quite fully updated yet. I'm looking forward to that whenever that does happen. But yeah, it's a solid card, and any kind of Robin Hood decks are going to be more than happy to include this to it, and especially with me having fully read the Robin Hood that costs 9. So yeah, excited to play this one. Solid card, not quite a 4, but still strong. Gives all characters work, not just Robin Hood's. It's just Robin Hood's move there for free. Tropical Rainforest, 3 costs, 1 to move, 6 to do something with. I hate these kind of things where it's 1 to move to it and they do nothing when their things are there. It's kind of a cop-out to me. This card is bad. This card's getting a 1. You just make your opponents have to challenge into it, which is probably what they should do anyway, so I'm not a fan of it. Unfortunately, not a good note to go out on Emerald on, but that is Emerald. There are some exciting cards. There are some less exciting cards. I'm glad I read the Robin Hood that costs 9 because I think it's a lot better than I initially gave it credit for. So we'll see how that comes together, but join us for the next video. We're going to go over Ruby here in just a minute.